Welcome to the first edition of the Step Brothers. I'm Wesley Clark here with Andrew Heiden. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Doing well. I know we have talked so much about doing this for like the longest time. It's like every Saturday one of us will call each other if Ohio State and Michigan aren't playing, then we'll just go through all the games. So it's like at some
I
point
know.
we're like, might as well just actually
Finally
make
made it out of the
content.
chat. I know.
No, that's a good way of putting it. Actually, finally make content. But this is a Ohio State, Michigan, and then we'll sprinkle some Big Ten towards the end. Get some game predictions as we go. Now, first, I want to talk about you know what came out on Tuesday night. Obviously, the college football playoff rankings, the second one that have come out this year. Ohio State remains the first number one seed. They have remained the number one seed since their win against Texas in week one, ahead of Indiana, Texas A&M, Alabama, and Georgia. I don't see a problem with them staying at one. Obviously, we saw Lane Kiffin. He thought Alabama or A&M should have been the number one seed, but there's no reason why Ohio State should honestly get knocked off unless they lose. If you're going to keep them at one and they keep winning, there shouldn't be a problem there after being 9-0 after 11 weeks. I
hmm
think the biggest thing that I see is like they obviously beat Texas by 7 in week one, and then we saw Texas drop off a little bit. Texas now ranked number 10, and I think that is key for Ohio State having that win going into the playoff. Now they control their own destiny. Um, Ohio State does, especially with and Indiana as well. Both those teams
Oh
being
yeah.
undefeated. Um, but the team strength to me, and a lot of I guess, the analysts who get paid the big bucks talk about the most complete team. You're talking about the elite offense, obviously with Jeremiah Smith and Julian Sayin, but the defense to me, and I'm wondering from an out of perspective. Last year we saw JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer leave, Denzel Burke, Cody Simon, all those guys in the NFL, and it's kind of it's a next man up mentality has worked perfectly for Ohio State. I mean, now you have Jermaine Matthews Jr., who saw a lot of time as a true freshman, but now you see Arvell Reese. I mean, non-Ohio State fans, they didn't know who Arvell Reese was, but now all
This
of
is
a
true.
sudden
Yeah.
we'll
I did
have
not.
him at number one, pick in the draft.
Yeah, the
So I
best player
guess are
on the
you
defense,
shocked?
maybe.
That is very possible. Now, are you shocked that it has kind of worked that way for Ohio State because they lost so many guys, and all of a sudden here they are. They might have the best defense in the country.
I'm definitely shocked with the way Ohio State recruits. I wouldn't say I'm completely shocked they have an elite team, but I am shocked with how much they lost on defense, just how, I think they might look even better. I mean, I think last year their defense was dominated by the defensive line, and now you can let me know if you agree. I think it's maybe more dominated by the linebackers in the secondary. I mean, that looks like an NFL secondary out there. I mean, you got Igbinosun, obviously Caleb Downs.
Yeah.
Uh, did I say that wrong or something? Is that why you laughed?
No, it's because we always talk about how he,
Oh
has his
yeah, I'll
pass
admit.
interference, his
Sure.
PIs,
Yeah, yeah,
but overall, I mean, he is actually a good corner. Besides when he's holding on
yeah.
to the defender.
So with the way they recruit, I'm not surprised that they're a great team again. I am surprised with how flawless they've looked. I think that's hard when you lose what 14 in the NFL.
Yep.
A lot of senior guys, you have young guys stepping into new roles. That's difficult to do, no matter how well you recruit. I mean, there's a reason it doesn't happen. So yeah, I would say the defense is what has impressed me, especially with Matt Patricia and some Michigan fans that I've seen with having experience with him in the NFL. I was under the impression that maybe it'd be a bit of a drop off on defense, but clearly hasn't missed a beat. So
Uh, yes. Sorry, I just got a phone call there, but
all
uh,
good.
that's the thing about the D line for sure. I mean, you're not going to lose. You can't lose JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer and not go and not like you're going to regress. But
Sure.
like you said, this secondary to me, it's veteran at this point. David Igbinosun came from Old Miss. He's been here several years now. He could have gone to the
Yeah.
NFL, but he stayed. They lost Denzel Burke. Jermaine Matthews is a junior now. So it kind of evens out because we saw Denzel Burke struggle a lot, especially in that Oregon game in the beginning of the season. I mean, he got cooked big time.
Hmm.
And that D line, Keada Jackson Jr., Caden Curry, you don't really know who that is. I mean, Caden Curry was like just a bunch of no names going out there trying to do their
Oh
job.
yeah. Yeah.
And in a way, it is. And Edric Houston, a 5-star recruit from a couple years ago, he got finally he's getting more starts as time goes on.
Yeah.
And I mean, against Purdue obviously the bottom of the Big Ten, but they were flawless against Purdue, and you don't see that every day for college kids who I mean go out there and they do struggle at times. But that's a defense. I mean, it is they are
Yeah.
doing exactly what they need to be doing. I think that at times against Ohio State, I think it's the what Patricia's scheme on a certain play. I think that he might miss a few times. That's why Purdue had plays where they gained kind of like 11 yards off of soft coverage on zone defense. And I think that might be a weakness, but that
Yeah.
might go with every single team.
Yeah.
How do you expect a team to shut down every single set of plays? Ohio State is shutting down on drives. I mean, it took
Yeah.
8 weeks for a team to score in the first quarter. They were the last team to allow a touchdown in the red zone. Illinois, it took them 4 plays from the inch yard line to get
Yeah. Remember
into.
that.
Yeah, they had to do a handoff and then a pitch
Yeah.
to score on fourth and goal. But we saw it last year as well, and I am shocked. Obviously, the iconic one from Jack Sawyer against his old roommate, Pointers, but they continue to do that, and that's what's crazy to me. And I
Yeah.
think that has shocked everybody because how is that possible? You lose
100%.
Jim Knowles, who is
Yeah.
supposed to be this mastermind on defense,
Yeah. I thought that'd play a much bigger role than it has.
and look what is happening with Penn State, and we'll
Yeah.
get into that. We'll get that later. But then on the offensive side, I obviously as an Ohio State fan, I call them wide receiver U, and I think right now it kind of makes sense. I mean, Ohio State's leading in receptions, yards, and touchdowns in the NFL, and that's going to continue as Carnell Tate looks like will be a first rounder in the upcoming draft.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So Jeremiah Smith, obviously we know him, and the fact that he's only a sophomore is crazy. He had 10 catches,
Nuts.
137 yards, 1 touchdown against Purdue. Now Carnell Tate missed the Purdue game. I don't know if that was
That's
kind of
right.
national news. Uh,
I saw it. Yeah.
yeah. So a couple guys had to step in. Obviously, David, Ennis had to step up. Bryson Rogers stepped up. Mylan Graham, to me, I wish I saw more. Number 5, he kind of reminds me actually of Garrett Wilson, who also wore number 5. He almost transferred, and he didn't. And obviously, in this era, NIL, so you don't know like if money talked there or the
Sure.
factory that Brian Hartline has developed at Ohio
Yeah.
State. But I'm glad to see him stay. And if he stays for next year, Parnell will be gone. So we'll
Should
see
be an
who
expanded role. Yeah.
expanded role. Quincy Porter. Now he's a 5-star. He's a true freshman. We've seen him. It's just tough. I mean, you got to be more than elite to be the wide receiver 3
Yeah.
at Ohio
Chris Henry
State.
Jr. coming into the spring, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
So
that kid's
it's
different.
it's nonstop. The biggest thing that I see from Ohio State and why I think they will lose, they obviously have a chance to win the national championship, but if they lose, it will be that O line. They've had
Sure.
struggles on the right guard. Got a few transfers better than last year. Tyler Bowden. who was the OC at Virginia Tech, now the offensive coach. Uh,
That's right.
he's helping out with the O line, but I just it struggled a little bit last year. Not as bad as last year. It's gotten a little better. Some of these guys are young. You got some transfers, but there's a few injuries. Obviously, saw several injuries last year with Josh Simmons and Seth McLaughlin, and then all of a sudden,
Hmm.
they go on that run. And there wasn't a problem when they went up against those SEC teams and Notre Dame. I mean, did you ever see an issue with the O line during those?
Didn't seem to be a fall off. No,
Which was
no.
which was shocking because you lose
Yeah.
two guys who, Simmons is doing unbelievable in Kansas City, uh, and Seth McLaughlin,
McLaughlin's
who
all Big Ten too, right?
he won Center of the Year.
Yeah.
So they've continued that; it's got better. You can say that every single part of Ohio State has gotten better, which is why they are the number one team in the country right now. And obviously, the biggest thing, and I wonder, when you were watching the Tennessee game, because I was there,
Hmm.
and you saw Julian Sayin make that pass. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. It was like a 15
Was it
yard
a
pass, and it
corner
went it was
route?
something, and he got probably went 5 yards short. Do you remember
Mm.
that?
No,
It was
I don't remember
It
that.
was late in the game. When I saw that, I knew it was like Twitter is going to be all over this guy. So Michigan Twitter, especially Penn State Twitter, going to be all over this guy. And I mean, look at what we've seen from Julian Sayin. True, redshirt freshman transferred after Nick Saban retired at Alabama, and I mean he leads the country in efficiency and completion. He's over a little bit over 80%, 27 for 33 against Purdue, 300 yards. Pretty wild, pretty good. Uh, Not a step up almost from Will Howard, who's solid and he was having a good spring with the Steelers. I
Hmm.
mean, obviously, it's saying it was a 5 star. So it's not like you can't expect this, but I mean, you would think that there would be some bumps in the road for saying right now he's doing pretty good.
Not many, yeah.
So that's kind of what I have on Ohio State. Michigan, they lost early against Oklahoma. What kind of the ups and downs have you seen from the Wolverines so far here in 2025?
Yeah, it's been a lot of offensive inconsistency, obviously. Um, but I want to touch on the defense real quick because Michigan is known for having great run defenses, great fundamental defenses, not missing a lot of tackles. And both under Wink Martindale, defensive coordinator, both last year and this year, that's been a bit of a problem in the early season. Last year, it was a big issue. Just some of the play calls, some of the defensive formations we ran, I just did not understand. We had, you know, arguably the best defensive tackle in the country, Mason Graham, lining up at the edge position sometimes in that Texas game. And then you kind of saw uh, some dialing back of the complexity of this game, making it a little bit simpler on the players, and that's where the defense kind of started to evolve. And I thought that's what it was going to look like early this year, but it seemed like Wink kind of just went, it seemed like guys were just lost, like often out of position, often not aligned at the snap. So rumor is that Lamar Morgan, the defensive backs coach, who has been a defensive coordinator before, is now having some input on play calling. And I think Michigan has stepped up defensively, obviously. I think they're a lot more simple in their coverage shells, which has helped, right? Like forcing guys to make completions underneath. The run defense has been a lot better. Um, you know, fitting the run has been a lot better, and we're not getting hit for 50 yards on 3rd and 18 on the ground like we did against USC.
And that was a
As much,
problem again. That's what I was about to say. USC. I mean, you really saw the
oh my
whole
God.
defense, and
Yeah.
I was wondering because it's like I'm watching this game and I'm like, this team a year ago made adjustments. So why are they not
Yes.
doing it now?
Yeah. Issue, right? And Wink
Big adjustment.
Martindale, yeah, Wink Martindale has been great at making adjustments. Halftime adjustments have been Wink Martindale's bread and butter. That was Jesse Minter's bread and butter when he was here before that, before going to the NFL.
Absolutely.
And that USC game, that just left me a little bit lost. I'm glad it's got, obviously the defense played great in that Washington game. But yes, that's kind of how I feel about the defense. I wouldn't be surprised if Wink Martindale, in one way or the other, is not the defensive coordinator after the season, and if you saw Lamar Morgan make the jump up to defensive coordinator. But regardless, I mean, it seems like they're in a good place. We have a lot of leaders on defense, especially at linebacker, who, especially Ernest Hausman, seem to be good at getting guys in position, things like that. So defense, not as much of a concern for me now. Earlier in the year, though, I think that absolutely was the issue in the USC loss. I didn't think the offense was really that much of a problem outside of Bryce Underwood's interception and other things like that. But yeah, jumping into the offense, I'd say obviously passing game inconsistency. Rushing attack has been, you know, super elite with Justice Haynes. He's one of the best backs in the country. Unfortunately, he's been injured for a lot of this year. He's out right now, which I'll touch into injuries a little bit in a second. But Jordan Marshall is he could be the RB1 at 95% of programs in
Yeah.
America. I mean, he's that physical downhill back, gets those tough yards. Justice Haynes is more of your home run hitter. So I hope we can get him back for the Ohio State game. Doesn't look like he's going to be back this weekend. But really just the passing game inconsistency. Um, I have that on here. Really, I'll say I want to mention play calling improvement. I think I've seen a lot on media is some of the passing game inconsistencies have been blamed on Chip Lindsey, the offensive coordinator. I just want to remind everybody what this offense looked like last year under Kirk Campbell. Okay, this is far more creative, it's far less predictable. I mean, Kirk Campbell would have, I remember this one play against Illinois. It was like he had a bubble screen going to the left, quarterback rolling out to the right, and then his only option to throw is like a tight end, like Colson Loveland, that tight end, running like this flat route right in front of the quarterback. And that was like I saw that on film. Someone posted about it. I saw, and I'm like, yeah, that's Kirk Campbell. So that I think yes, quarterback was an issue last year with Warren, Orgy, and Tuttle. I think Kirk Campbell made the offense look a lot worse than it was. So
And the wide
I
receiver
think
room, I mean, there
right,
you can improve that. And I'm not, there was, I remember we were together when we were trying to see if that the 5-star recruit was going to come to Michigan, end up going to
Calvin
Syracuse.
Russell. Yeah, that's right.
So
Yeah.
it's like, what
So
what is missing? You're not expecting, the product that Ohio State has, but I mean, you got schools like Virginia Tech who actually has solid wide receivers. Why can't
mhm,
Ann Arbor get that? That's a big
yeah,
question.
yeah. Well, we'll kind of talk about that. Um, Really, yeah, the receiver room is still an issue, and it's really just a lack of talent, right? Like I wish it was something that I could point to and say this can be fixed in the middle of the season. I don't think it can be. We have good receivers coming in. Andrew Marsh has obviously stepped up. He looks like our best receiver. He's a true freshman. Jamar Browder, true freshman, who I think is going to be playing more with how bad Samaj Morgan has been playing. Um, and then we have in the 2026 class, we have Travis Johnson, Zion Robinson, some elite names. Really, you see what's interesting though is one, not much of an offense to sell from last year going forward into this year to portal wide receivers, right? Two, a lot of it has to do with admissions at Michigan. It's a little bit difficult to get some guys in. I don't know if you know, but Skylar Bell at UConn, do you know that name? He's
No,
like he's top in the country in receptions up there
uh,
in yards, like an elite wide receiver at UConn. He was crystal balled to Michigan by pretty much everybody. Like it was a done deal, but they couldn't get him through admissions, and so
because it's
we
the
missed out on.
academic, like is this
Yeah,
academia
yeah,
issue?
yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, Michigan has
Yeah,
a
I mean,
really high standard when it comes to that, and I think it holds us back in terms of recruiting.
I mean, this is no diss to SEC teams, but they're not exactly the best academic schools. So, I mean, high school kids don't really need to try much with their grades to get into those schools. And
Yeah,
obviously, Michigan, a tough school to get into for academia. But yeah,
yeah, yeah. So then I'll just say, in terms of the offense, who needs to step up? Bryce Underwood for sure, absolutely needs to step up. I think it's time we start looking at him as an 18-year-old freshman and time to start thinking, all right, how can we get this to go, right? At the beginning of the year, first game of the season, I was there in the big house against New Mexico. Receivers had brick hands. That's been a problem all year. But Bryce was hitting his throws. He was not rushed in the pocket. And now it seems like he's regressed a little bit. In that Purdue game, he had happy feet. He was not trusting his pass protection. And the rollout throws to the right to the tight end, 10 yards away, that normally you can trust on him to make those. If nothing else, he's sailing it over his head. So I think he needs to step up. I think as a fan base, we need to stop blaming the coaching staff as much when it comes to offense and start looking at the guys around the field. I have full trust that Bryce will get there, but it's time to see some progression, right? Like November 29th is a few weeks away. There's we got to ramp it up. You know what I mean?
So you
Um,
think that I have a question because
yeah,
obviously the hype around him, decommitting from LSU and talks about Larry Ellison at Oracle, Tom Brady, and
sure. Yeah,
the guy from Barstool, Dave Portnoy,
of course.
my best buddy. Bringing him to Michigan, a lot of hype there because that position obviously struggled big time last year. So you get this, get the number one recruit. You expect him to play like
Right.
generational. I mean, when you think of generational in college football, that's the Caleb Williams. That is
Yeah.
the Trevor Lawrence. That's generational. It's really tough because I mean, look at Quinn Ayers, right? He didn't play for anything when he was
hmm
at Ohio State. CJ Stroud was there, and he leaves after one semester. Were you expecting generational, or maybe a slow, progression with him?
I'll phrase it like this. I was not expecting generational, but I have always been expecting generational eventually,
Okay.
if that makes sense. I'm
Yep.
expecting
Yep.
him to, by the time he's a junior, I'm expecting him to be a Heisman contender. He has
Okay.
all the tools. I think Michigan has the resources to go out and get some better weapons for him, hopefully starting this offseason. I think he's going to get there. I really do. It's just, he's a young kid. It's been a slow progression, sorry, over the season. I think outside, I mentioned these past 2 weeks, he's regressed a little bit, but other than that, it's been a steady climb, right? He's been getting better and better. Um, I think that kind of breakout day is coming for him this week against Northwestern, maybe against Maryland. I think it's going to come for him. Um, he's just a football junkie in the same way that JJ McCarthy was. Like he loves watching film. He just cares about it so much. Um, and so I think it's going to come for him eventually.
They talk about like in pro sports like a rookie wall, and it's
Yeah.
possible that's what he's
Yeah.
hitting. I mean, you
Very
guys you
possible.
guys have had both bye weeks already.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's our
because
last one.
Indiana they're 10-0, and they haven't had their last bye week, which is crazy to me that
Yeah.
this late season. But it is possible that even with the bye weeks, I mean, he didn't play this much football intensely in high school, which he was doing a year ago. So
Right.
there's still that development, like in that way. Like I mean, every single
Yeah.
day, like the endurance, straight up, it could be a problem. And maybe he's trying to do too much. I know you talk about happy feet. That could be also something in his mind, like he wants to be the hero, which I don't blame him because we would
Yeah.
be the same way.
Right. Yeah. He needs to settle down. That's it. I trust that he will. But yeah, he knows how good he is. He likes to try to make a lot of plays outside the pocket, take off for yards, which is great. But I think he's getting a little sped up. I think the bye week is a great opportunity to get away from the game planning, get away from focus on what other teams are doing, and just go back to fundamentals, focus on footwork. Give time for our quarterbacks coach to really sit down and develop our young quarterbacks. So I'm hoping to see that. I know we have to move on, so I just want to touch on a few other things. Um, Injuries. I just want to mention injuries because that's been a huge issue for Michigan this season. Probably the most injuries that I've seen in my time watching the team. So we'll just kind of rip through them. Justice Haynes, as I mentioned, out indefinitely. We'll see if he comes back to the Ohio State game. Something to watch though. He's obviously an NFL level back. I wonder if I don't think he's played enough games. I don't know if he has enough on film. He didn't play a whole lot at Alabama before transferring to Michigan. I wonder if
Right.
a return for a senior season is at play. Um, I would obviously love that. I would love for him to play against Ohio State, but I want what's best for the kid, right, in his career. So Michigan has never been one to rush guys back from injury, and I respect that. Um, we'll go into Rod Moore, another one, fifth year guy, has had he tore his ACL last year, has had some complications. It's been, I think, a little over 18 months since that initial injury. Him, along with Hogan Hansen, are still day to day. So they just have lingering things that are going on. Hogan Hansen, I believe, is a hamstring. Rod Moore dealing with the knee. Those, sorry, not day to day, day by day is what Sharon Moore said. So all this I'm
Day
taking
by
from
day.
Sharon Moore's press conference. So
There you
what that
go.
usually means to me is probably not this weekend. We'll see. But both of those guys also potential redshirt candidates. Rod Moore has only played in 3 games. I believe Hogan Hansen has played in 2. So Rod Moore could redshirt and come back for a 6th year, which is crazy. It feels like he's been there forever. But yeah,
Extra like those COVID years everyone had. We're finally getting to the end of that.
yeah. Well, yeah, he's. I think he's class of 2020, maybe 2021. Um, so yeah. He's getting up there. He's been there a long time. And then Donovan McCulley, Marlon Klein, both had minor injuries against Purdue. They should be full go. In terms of the linebackers, Cole Sullivan, Sharon Moore said, is getting close, which is great. I believe it was an upper body injury for him. Jimmy Rolder and Jay Barham obviously need those guys. Those guys are veteran, great, just leaders and presences on the field for us at linebacker. Sharon Moore said, we'll see with those guys, which for anyone that doesn't know the coach speak of Sharon Moore, he keeps injuries and things very close to the vest. So that basically means I have no idea, and you won't know soon either. So um, the thing with injuries at Michigan is you really just don't know until you see the injury report, and you just hold your breath when you open it because you never know. Is that similar to Ohio State? They like to keep things like under wraps about
Well,
injuries guys have?
well, in college is very different from the NFL because there's a lot more. There's a lot more. They restricted a little bit with these college kids. With NFL, you are required to have a injury report. You get fined. In fact, if someone's injured and you don't report it in the NFL. Ohio State, I have seen it. Like obviously, there's years where it's been terrible. So far, so good. Obviously, Carnell Tate. We did not know until Carnell Tate. We didn't know Carnell Tate was out until it actually happened in warmups. So maybe
Really?
some similar situation. Yes. Yep. It was in warmups. I
Interesting.
don't know what they just. I mean, it was Purdue. So I bet you if it's week 14, he's out there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you
Hopefully
have
nothing
other guys who
serious.
can kind of fill goals. For Caden Sullivan getting
Cole Sullivan.
close,
Yeah.
Cole Sullivan, getting close. Do you see like specific plays he could play, like will be in this week, getting some reps?
Maybe. He's a really good pass coverage linebacker. I, maybe they throw him in on obvious passing downs.
Right.
I think it's more of an all or nothing for him because it's not a long-term injury. Like I think if he's full go, he's going to go. If he's not, they're just going to sit him. But still, he's closer. I thought, Jimmy Rolder, it seems like his happened against Michigan State. I thought his was going to be like he's fine by next week. And Cole Sullivan's was more serious. It seems to be about the other way around, which I did not expect. But yeah, we have depth at linebacker, but still, you love to have those guys back.
Yeah, no, for sure. A lot with those two teams. Obviously, Michigan needing to kind of win out. They have to.
Yeah.
Last year we didn't see a three-loss team. I'm assuming with the amount of talent across the board in college football now,
hmm
especially, uh, you got to win. You can't lose
Yeah.
more than
Yeah.
two
Michigan doesn't
games.
have the schedule to go 9-3 and make it. They just don't.
They do not. They
So
do not. And there's not a lot of teams. I'm trying to think like across if you have nine three losses. I'm trying to think about teams who can do that, and I just don't think this year they're gonna. That's
Texas
possible.
comes to mind. It's a possibility.
Possibly, possibly. I mean, that
You
Florida
split
loss
Georgia and
is
A&M.
just. It's just tough. It's
Yeah.
tough. But we'll go through the Big Ten power rankings, and it's exactly what you would think it is. And this is from Fox Sports. You know,
Yeah.
I bet you Joe Clyde and Gus Johnson kind of had a maybe a little say in this, but it's exactly what you think it would be. You know,
Hmm.
it's kind of mimicking the college football playoff rankings that came out on Tuesday. Obviously, Ohio
Yes.
State number 1, 9-0 overall, 6-0 in conference. Beat Purdue 34-10. Like I said before, the most that people have been saying the most complete team. Very possible.
Can I ask you a
Um,
question about Ohio State?
Go ahead.
Because it came to mind earlier. I just forgot to ask it when you said that every aspect of this team you think is improved from last year, right? You said that?
Except the kicker position, that stayed the same.
That's okay. But he's a little is he a little better this year?
He actually is because
Okay.
it's been I believe it's been 2020 last time or 2021 where we hit a 51 yarder. He hit a 49 yarder uh,
Yeah.
against Purdue.
49 yards. Yeah. Get him a contract.
But was that who you're going to ask about?
No, I was gonna ask you what you thought about the run game because I feel like that is one aspect where Ohio
Yeah.
State is not
So
as good
that's
this
so,
year as
so
they were
that
last
was
year.
that was what I meant when I would start talking about the O line. I meant to also talk
That plays
about
a
the run
factor.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because you'll see James People had a setup play. It was a screen pass to him, and you're talking about 20 yards, possibly a touchdown. They were close to the red zone, and he gets blown up against Purdue. And when you, of course, it's going to be a downgrade when you talk about when you're Trayvon Henderson, Quinton Junkins, who
Of course.
by the careers so far have been great for both of those guys in the NFL. Henderson, 147 yards this week. But yes, the run game, huge problem. CJ Donaldson came over from West Virginia. He has been
Hmm.
quite the disappointment.
Yeah.
And I saw a list of kind of the transfers that came from this year, and I believe only once is starting. So CJ Johnson, not him, because Bo Jackson is now just going to be
That's
considered
right.
the starter. He's a true
Yeah.
freshman. Name actually Lamar Bo Jackson. So Lamar
Right.
Jackson is his real name, which is funny. Now, yeah, so
Just
that would be the one
destiny.
thing that uh has gone, yeah, right, has gone down big time too. Now, I actually think that the wide receiver room is better because Smith more experienced. Carnell Tate is actually much better. And if I made a TikTok about this, I don't think it's a 1A, or I don't think it's a 1-2 anymore. I think it's a 1A, 1B situation
Wow. Yeah.
because
I mean,
they're just it's different gameplays. Like I think that Carnell Tate gets open better than Jeremiah Smith, but there ain't no way
but you
that
think
you're
Jeremiah
gonna
Smith's a
win the
better
one on
pass
ones.
catcher? Yeah.
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 Yep.
I will. I mean, they definitely play off of each other. Like they
Big time.
both create for themselves, but they both create for each other, and they both create for the rest of the offense.
Against Minnesota, they had a fake design pass play for Jeremiah Smith. Five defenders from Minnesota shifted towards the left side of the field, and that gave Cardinal Tate a one-on-one, and I mean the guy had no chance. Which
Yeah.
is it's just wild to have that ability to do that. They're very lucky, but the run game, yes. O line run game. That's why I would think Ohio State wouldn't win the national championship would because of that. I mean, you got last year in that playoff run. I mean, we saw it wasn't a 70-yard run by Henderson, but the fact that he's able to do that against Texas
It's basically a 70-yard
is
run. I mean,
basically. I mean, it was a
guarded
pass.
him in the backfield.
Yep, it was behind the line of scrimmage. That was a pass, but Quinshon Junkins. I mean, he pretty much scored every game in
Yeah.
that playoff run.
Yeah.
But Ohio
Absolutely.
State staying at 1. Indiana, interesting game against Penn State,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
They win 27-24. Defense is great, but I guess the question would be their offense now staying
Yeah.
consistent.
Yeah. I wonder if that's the type of game where it's just right? I don't know exactly Penn State's remaining schedule, but Indiana, like last chance to really make a statement. I wonder if that's your kind of all out, put it on the line. You know, one of those games at home. I don't knock Indiana as much as a lot of other people are after that game.
No.
I still think they're an elite team, and Penn State is a talented team. Like they obviously they don't have their starting quarterback or their planned starting quarterback. They don't have their head coach, but the talent is still there, especially on defense, and I think that showed. I mean, they were creating some pressure in that game.
Yeah, they definitely have a higher chance of making the Big Ten championship than anyone, as they have Wisconsin and Purdue left on their schedule, and also a
Yeah.
bye week. So they're definitely legit playoff playoff
Hmm.
material for
Oh
sure.
yeah.
And the thing is, like, I actually don't blame the committee for dropping them to three. They totally could, and I'd be like, okay, I agree. Like that's fine. If you're gonna be picky and nitpick teams, that go off. Like they did
Yeah.
struggle against a team that hasn't won a game in the Big Ten, and A&M stays undefeated. Now they're not going to drop below past three because there's only three undefeated teams left.
Yeah.
But yeah, Indiana number two, Oregon to me number three. That's fine. Um, I, I, Kirk Herbstreit, he almost hit it right on the nail. He had Iowa winning, but he had a game-winning field goal. I believe it was the same score. Uh,
Yeah.
but I want to see more from Oregon.
You
If
see
I
the
think that
flaws. Yeah, you see the flaws.
you
They're there.
100%, 100%. And that I just when they played Indiana, Dante Moore, I mean, he struggled when it was late through two
They got
interceptions.
dominated in that game. That was not a 10-point game. They got outplayed in every
They didn't.
aspect.
Yeah, they picked off Mendoza, I believe, like on the one when they were driving, and that's what helped them. Or they had a pick
It was a
six.
pick six. It was a pick
Yeah,
six. Yeah,
yeah, it was pick
it's
six.
close to Indian
Which
in Indian territory. Yeah,
yeah. So Oregon, they're going to be three. They're going to be three in the Big Ten, and that's fine.
they're
But
gonna be three
you can
until
see
they
that
lose, and that's fine.
now if they lose, because I'll have more to say about them when we do game predictions. If
Yeah.
they lose, do you think they drop to like okay? So we have USC next in Michigan. So
Hmm.
where do you think Oregon? If Oregon loses, you drop them below you guys?
Who are they losing to?
Well, they have to play USC.
Right. No, I mean I know, but if you're saying they lose to Minnesota this weekend,
Oh
then
no,
that's
no, to USC, I guess if they lose to USC.
USC.
So both of you guys lose to USC. You have the
I guess it
same
depends what it
record.
looks like. I would say maybe. I mean, USC would jump them, obviously. I would say maybe. I look at their schedule. I think people talk about the USC game. I'm still looking at the Washington game. I know Washington just lost to Wisconsin, and they're probably not as good as people thought they were, but they're playing in Seattle. That's been a tough game for Oregon in years past. I'm not writing that one off as a win at all. So I think that's definitely still in the air for Oregon.
Yeah, I mean been a tough game. Oregon just I playing in Seattle, tough
Yeah.
for everyone. Ohio State finally broke the second longest home streak this year.
Yeah.
But like yeah, like when they're in the Pac-12, I mean that was a disaster for Oregon.
Right.
But USC, I mean they're going to get the number four just because of the head-to-head. I mean if they didn't play head-to-head against you guys, there's definitely an argument there if there was the same record.
Yeah.
But obviously USC gonna have the head, and they're one spot ahead in the college football playoff as well.
That's right.
Lincoln Riley very good at home, but when he goes on the road, I mean, it's he just struggles. Look what he did last year. They beat LSU, and then what they lost 4 or 5 games in a row.
Yeah.
Uh, is it a different team? I don't know. Like they're playing well. They have a chance of the playoff. So, but at four sounds right. This is what I would have them at as well. Because they can still go to the playoff, obviously, if they win out,
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, if they win out, they'll be third in the Big Ten, and they would have to hope that I guess Michigan would beat Ohio State, and then they'd be in the Big Ten championship.
Yeah.
So Lincoln Riley, not as good as he was at Oklahoma, probably. He has a little problem. Maybe I don't know how the resources are. You would think that Southern Cal is going to have.
I mean, they've been recruiting. Their 2026 class is absolutely loaded.
Mhm.
So it seems like he has some good
And
resources.
now, how was that defense when you guys played them? What
Question
did you
mark?
see?
Question mark? Question mark?
Okay.
Um, I think they are definitely a more physical outfit than they were last year. They're getting more accustomed to the Big Ten style of football on defense, I will say. Um, I I I think the game against Illinois was concerning. Like they were getting
Yeah.
just gashed, just
Yeah.
gashed. And I don't think that Michigan has, right? Justice Haynes got hurt in that game, right? So he didn't play most of that game against USC. I just don't think Michigan had what it took to expose their defense. Their defense looked fine against Michigan because Michigan just didn't play well. So a lot of question marks. Definitely improved from last year. I will say that. Like that is clear. They've gotten consistently better under D'Anton Lynn. They're better tacklers. They're way more physical. But when it comes to national contention or Big Ten championship hopes, Oregon's a physical team. You're going to need to be. That's going to be a real test and probably their biggest test to date. Outside of, I guess, Notre Dame was a test that they failed. So
Yes. And high scoring, probably. Best case scenario for them against Oregon is going to be high scoring. Because, I mean,
in a
that was the
shootout,
thing.
yeah.
That was the thing against Michigan. I mean, that they just kept on rolling on offense. And you would think, like, okay, if Michigan gets a stop, then you get that momentum. And they just kept on going.
No, the stop never came.
And then number five, Michigan at 7-2, 4-2 in conference. Number 18 in the college football playoff ranking. Have to win out.
Yep,
Uh, Now we've talked about Sharon Moore before. What does that look like right now with the fan base?
got Sharon Moore.
Yes,
A lot
right
of
now,
people are on the
not that.
fence.
Okay, and I'm not talking like obviously if you beat the number one team in the country in a few weeks, obviously gonna
Yeah,
keep his
just
job.
current outlook. Yeah, current outlook.
But right
Um,
now,
a lot of people are on the fence. There is no way to me that his job is in jeopardy. He's going to be the coach next year. He should be
yeah,
the coach
yeah,
next year. He's been recruiting at such a high level, and this is an improved team from last year. I think obviously this is not up to Michigan standards yet. Like we want to compete for national championship, but it it's better than last year. I mean, it's still frustrating to watch, but last year was it's hard to turn the TV on. So he's going to be the coach. There's no doubt in my mind. Some people are on the fence. I don't think Ward Manuel, the AD, is like I don't think there's any concern within the building. The players like him. The players play hard for him. Right. It's going to have to continue to go up though. Right. Like I think is Michigan better? Yes, but they're also a product of their schedule this year. It's a super easy schedule. Next year, it's not. Next year is an absolute gauntlet. Play Indiana at Oregon, Ohio State, obviously at home versus Oklahoma. Play Penn State. We'll see what they look like. With the new coach, we'll see. But next year, I think, is the absolute test. You have a sophomore Bryce Underwood, hopefully some better weapons at receiver. I think next year is the prove it year for Sharon Moore, and I think nothing that happens this year is going to change that.
yeah. Definitely gonna be the coach next year for sure. No question there. Kind of wrapping up our talking points on this before we get into what I'm kind of looking forward to in our disagree agree for game
Mhm.
predictions. Obviously, Ohio State, Indiana control the destiny. Michigan State definitely resting on the game because,
Yes,
again, like we said, can't lose three games. Oregon, USC, wild cards. We'll see. I actually can't wait until that game. I'll be watching that closely. I will be in Blacksburg though, so that I'll have to watch on my phone if I have service. But
Mhm.
the if I'm not a like the way that Lane Kiffin is a SEC diehard cornball. I'll put it. I'm not that way for the Big Ten. I like when they
Me
obviously
neither.
last year when we dominated the SEC in bowl games. So I do enjoy watching the Big Ten succeed if Ohio State is doing well. Now, if
That's
you
fair.
just talk, if you're in if I'm the commissioner and you're talking about how can we get as many teams as possible in the playoff. Best case scenario, probably. I mean, we would have to go. We'll go through this. Best case scenario, four teams, maybe five. Obviously, Michigan beats Ohio State, and so that USC Oregon game. What is that? What would that look like? If we're talking about best case scenario for the Big Ten, Oregon would USC would win because they would if or that would make USC with three losses, which would kick them out.
Yeah, I guess
In
if you're
Indiana,
thinking, sorry,
go ahead,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I don't think there's a situation where they get five for sure. I
Yeah,
think they're way
yeah.
more likely to get three than five. I think four is possible with USC or Michigan. Obviously, if USC beats Oregon, they'd take care of Iowa. They would both be 10-2. And then USC would go to or depending on the game, right? Right. But Michigan needs to win,
In this
absolutely.
situation, if a best case scenario, Michigan does have to beat Ohio State, they don't have a choice because they're out if they don't.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
or USC beats Oregon, Indiana just has wins out. Whatever who they play, it doesn't matter.
I think,
Their
yeah,
schedule is
you'd think.
irrelevant. So that actually would drop Oregon out of the playoff.
Yeah. Plus, it's not, I mean, I know we're talking Big Ten, but it depends a lot on the chaos in other parts of the country, right? How many 10-2 SEC teams are there? Is Vanderbilt still alive? Do they beat Tennessee? Is Texas still alive? Are they 9-3? Is Oklahoma still alive at 10-2? Does Oklahoma beat, let's say, Alabama? Now you have a two-loss Alabama in the mix, you know? Um,
So if Ohio State beats UCLA and then Rutgers, you think that that's a clinch?
a clinch for
100%
the playoffs.
playoff, just playoff.
They clinch with even splitting those, which I don't see that happening. So yes,
I mean, there is a situation where if they lose to Rutgers, if they lose to Rutgers and Michigan, then there is actually a possibility they don't make it with the
I
way.
guess. I guess with the win over Texas, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
I mean, that would kick Texas out. So if you're a Texas
Probably,
fan, then you want Ohio State to win out because why
yeah.
why wouldn't you
But if you are a Texas fan and you are praying that Ohio State beats Rutgers, I think you probably are over worrying yourself.
yes, probably after and this week we're getting our game predictions at right now. We'll talk about over unders and all that stuff. So disagree, agree.
Yeah,
Uh,
let's do it.
I'll start it off Friday. Oregon, number 8 Oregon, playing on a Friday. Minnesota, 9 p.m. Oregon 25 and a half. I have seen Oregon play. Obviously, they played Ohio State. That was a disastrous game for Minnesota. The fact that I'm shocked that besides this Oregon game, because I am taking Oregon, they actually might win 8 games. That's what's crazy to me. That
Yeah,
they might be an 8-win team after how I saw them play Ohio State. 25 and a half. This is right here is going to dictate whether or not I trust Oregon or not. If they go out there and win by 35, then I'm like, okay, I'm actually back
yeah,
on the Oregon train. They do have a chance. The way that Ohio State kind of got hot late in the season, maybe Oregon has that. So I will take that 25 and a half, and my trust in Oregon is going to go up.
yeah. I'll agree there. Not gonna overthink it. Playing at Oregon, Minnesota flying to the West Coast. Minnesota's not a good football team, man. I mean, they're just not. They're just not. They beat Nebraska. That's great. They're just not. And you're 100% right. If Oregon is who they say they are, this has to be a statement game.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. Friday night games get weird, so we'll see. But I agree with you there. All right, let's take it to Wisconsin at Indiana at noon on Saturday. Once again, I think Indiana's just going to take care of business here. Maybe some people get caught up in Wisconsin beating Washington. Look, Washington's offense they looked elite in the non-conference. They've looked elite at times, but they've sputtered against Big Ten teams. They sputtered against Ohio State, sputtered against Michigan. I don't know. It's not nearly what it was against like Washington State at the beginning of the year. You know what I mean? And I think Indiana's not going to let that happen. Weirdly enough, I also think there's a bit of a prove it spot for IU. It's weird to say that after a win, but after Penn State, they hear the noise about Texas A&M, and and how Ohio State took care of Penn State and they couldn't. What does that say, right? Like who's fraudulent? Like are they a real
Mhm.
contender? They're hearing all that, and I think they just take care of business. I mean, I'd be surprised if Wisconsin scores 7 points.
Yeah. This is not 2014 Wisconsin anymore. It's unfortunate. Luke Fickell, he'll be the coach next year. They announced they're increasing their NIL
Yeah,
budget,
yeah,
but Indiana taking that 29 and a half. Like if I'm Signetti, we all know Signetti's a great coach. He was great when he was, uh, in Harrisonburg, Virginia at JMU, and he's built a program. They've extended him, making 11 and a half a year. Yeah, I mean he's going to go out and won by like 45 a few times plus. Uh,
yeah.
so yeah, I'm gonna agree with that. So agree on both those first two games. Penn State at Michigan State, 3:30. Penn State 7.5. Penn State to me, it's like how many heartbreaks can you have in a season? I don't think
0
the
six
Ohio
for
State
0
game is.
six here.
Yep, I don't think the Ohio State game is a heartbreak for them. I mean, it's tough. You're not going to beat Ohio State. Uh, you did the Oregon game, heartbreaker, and then Northwestern and UCLA, Iowa, not bad teams, but you're Penn State. Like you're not blue blood, but you're Penn State. You're
You have a
supposed to
better
be
roster
top
than all
10.
those teams. Yeah.
Yep. And then after May not saving your season, but looking back, like we beat number two in the country. We beat number two. They were that close. I think about 38 seconds away from it. They're heartbroken, emotionally just shut down. I'm taking Michigan State in this.
I actually agreed here, and I was wondering if you would too. I think the way I talk about a bounce back spot for Indiana, I think this is an unravel spot for Penn State.
Yeah, it's over.
And what does Michigan State have to lose? They benched Aiden Childs. They have, I'm forgetting his name, but the backup quarterback is now the starter. They've got a fresh look on offense. Yeah, I'm gonna take the home team, Michigan State. I don't like Michigan State at all, obviously, but I'm gonna take them here. I think they're winning their first Big Ten game.
Yeah, both of these teams. Well, it was 0 and 12 between both of them in Big Ten
Yeah.
play. Uh, I was going to start the sentence of you might not agree with me on this one, but we thought the same thing.
Yeah,
Now the point difference. I mean, Penn State's. I
mm,
mean, their defense is good. Like it is good. I'm thinking like Michigan State by three.
I would say Michigan State by like 6. So
Okay,
yeah,
yeah, that looks fine. Uh, but yeah, go ahead.
just an absolute banger 3:30 game. Michigan State versus Penn State. Absolute banger. All right, speaking of banger, Maryland at Illinois. This is a strange one. Um, Maryland,
It
Mike's
is.
Mike Locksley fired. They don't really have much of an identity. Malik Washington is a really great passer of the football. Even he's struggled some, but he's probably the bright spot on that team. Outside of that, no real offensive identity. They're not great on defense. Illinois, sneakily, I think a lot of Illinois fans would say it was a disappointing year. You'd hope to beat Ohio State. Um, some of their other losses that you've had, right? Like Indiana, that blowout loss, like the
And
ones where
they lost to
going,
Washington. Like that was
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
that
going
was
into this
tough.
year, like with the amount they returned, I think people would say it was a disappointment. But sneakily, like they're 6-3 with wins over USC and Duke. The remaining schedule, Maryland, Wisconsin, Northwestern, like they're on their way to a 9-3 year. Like I think that would be, you know, it sneakily end up a good record. I think if they were to go 9-3, they'd end up back in the college football playoff ranking somewhere in like the 18 to 25 range. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I'm going to take Illinois here. Maryland, when you fight, I mean, just in general, when you fire your coach, you've given up. That's the white flag on at least the year. So I think, I mean, Maryland is,
Yeah.
and it's, I got to actually talk to the guy right before he got fired from Maryland.
Really?
Uh,
Oh, that's right.
yeah, he came on 106 to 7. The fan, I mean, they were doing well at the time, like it's the beginning of the season, and then just spun out of control.
Yeah.
And it's been tough there. 14 and a half. Yeah, I'll just take it.
I'll take
Go
Illinois
ahead.
by 21.
Okay. Yeah, so that I mean, now Purdue and So that was 3:30 between Penn State, Michigan State, Illinois, and Maryland. Now we are at 7. Washington 60.5 point favorites against Purdue. I mean, there's just no way that to me that doesn't happen. I mean, I know Washington just scored 10 points against Wisconsin, but
Yeah,
the same situation with Illinois. Like, they're still those programs are not exactly like we need to get to the college football playoff, like Michigan, Ohio State. They're not
yeah,
blue bloods, but they'd probably enjoy the Cheez It Bowl, the Pop Tart Bowl. I would as a fan, and Washington has
yeah,
that opportunity to play in a bowl game like that.
yeah.
I don't want to be in the GoDaddy Bowl. So I will take Washington. I mean, Purdue's not good. I'll take Washington.
I'll take
Um,
Washington too. This line is surprising that it's this low. Um, I think maybe there's a slight overreaction to the Wisconsin game. Like it was
yes,
pouring down rain. Washington's not a terrible team. We talked about the home field advantage in Seattle. I think that plays a role here.
dude.
I think the
But
spread is too low. I mean, Purdue, we both seen over our last two games, Michigan and Ohio State, how annoying Purdue is. They just
yeah.
keep finding ways to move the chains. They just execute.
And they just don't. They just hold on to the ball somehow.
Yeah,
They had 47 snaps against Ohio State, which was the lowest of the year, but they just had the ball for like felt like so
yeah.
long.
Same thing with
So
Michigan. Yeah, we never had the
so
ball on
maybe that's
offense.
why that's 60.5 though, because they're just going to assume they're not. They know they're not going to win the game, but let's cover the spread. So maybe they
Yeah,
backdoor it. They might, you don't know. Like they kick a field goal, make it 16. Like I mean, 16 is a good amount of points.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I still think it's
But yeah,
21
no, I'm
plus.
still yeah, I'm gonna take Washington with the 16.5 to cover. But yeah,
Yeah.
I
All
digress.
right,
Go ahead.
let's get to our game of the week in the Big Ten. We got Iowa at USC. A really interesting game here. Iowa looking to bounce back from their game against Oregon, heartbreaker loss in Kinnick Stadium. Now you go on the road to USC. I wrote down for this one, I wrote styles make fights, right? This is two completely different philosophies. And I think this game, if it plays out, if it's a shootout, if it's an offensive game, it plays in USC's hands. If Iowa can turn this into a ground and pound, possess the ball, play defense,
A true Big Ten game.
play, yeah, play in between the 40s, punt the ball, um, then I think that favors Iowa, obviously. Um, yeah, I think this is a game where USC has to prove their physicality again, right? Prove how you can play in the Big Ten. Iowa, obviously, heartbreak loss, but I think they're a better offense than definitely than they were last year. I think Mark Gronowski adds something for them. And so this is an interesting one to pick. And I was surprised that the spread was 6.5 for USC. I thought it'd be maybe closer to like 3.5, something like that. Um, but I'm actually taking Iowa here. I think Iowa pulls the upset off.
Okay. I'm gonna disagree with you on this one.
Okay.
So I think that when you lose a game that Iowa did last week at home, it's just kind of a turnoff because you now are out. USC Lincoln Riley very good at home, and I think that's just going to stick. I think Iowa covers the spread. I actually in a kind of a backdoor way, I think they kick a field goal and then they try to get the ball back to score a touchdown. So I guess USC wins by 6 here. I just think that Iowa's offense and it is better, but it's just not good enough. Like they really struggle. And I mean,
Yeah,
how many
that's
passes?
fair.
They have like 5, 6 passing touchdowns this year. I mean, the run game for USC is better than their secondary, right? I would think for most teams
Yes.
that's how it works, and that's the way that Iowa kind of moves the ball more efficiently than passing. So that's why I have USC in this. I just think sure it'll be low scoring, and USC understands that. But if they find holes in Iowa, which Iowa can't do against USC because they don't have the pass offense, then this game is going to be over.
hmm Yeah. No, I'm taking Iowa here. I'm not confident in it at all. This is a hard game to pick. It just is. But yeah, I think Iowa's the type of team to bounce back, not unravel. Not
I
too
hope it
now.
stays. I hope it stays within 1 point. Well, one score possession. That'll be fun to watch
Yeah, it'll be fun to
for both
watch.
teams. I mean, I would completely kick them USC out of the playoff, which would be pretty crazy. It would be
Yeah.
cool to see. It would be cool to see. And now we're going into Michigan, Ohio State. You guys had the bye week last week.
Yes.
Ohio State played Purdue. You guys are on big noon, 11 and a half against Northwestern, a solid Northwestern team.
Yeah,
So what do you have to do?
absolutely.
What are you expecting from the Wolverines?
Yeah. Northwestern's underrated. They're scrappy, as you know. I think the big thing here with all the talk about the playoff, and now you have to go beat Ohio State and be 10-2 to have a shot. You can't let this game be, you can't let your mind be elsewhere, right? Your mind has to be on Wrigley Field, right? You have to be where your feet are. And again, this is a game you can lose if you play like you did against Purdue, like this is I don't feel good about it.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yep.
Northwestern is a better team than Purdue. And it's technically an away game, but I think there might be actually more Michigan fans in Wrigley Field. There's a lot of Michigan alums in Chicago, so I don't think that's going to play a huge role. Some keys though: Preston Stone, Northwestern QB, transfer from SMU, 11 touchdowns, 9 interceptions on the season. He turns the ball over a fair amount. Michigan has forced a turnover in every single game they played this year. That is what I'm looking at. I think if you can find a way to do that, find a way to put pressure on him, find a way to get them in obvious passing downs because they've leaned into the run game to try to hide some of that inefficiency. If you can force him into obvious passing downs, get pressure on him, force him to make some uncomfortable throws, I think that turnover margin is something that could favor Michigan here. Northwestern, 64th ranked rush defense in the country. Michigan, 12th ranked rushing offense. That's a clear advantage. Um, what I'll say though is that rushing advantage, you could win this game just by running the ball well and playing defense. But you have to think about this as now you're not just playing Northwestern, right? You're in the runway to the game after Thanksgiving, right? Like it's time to start. I don't know if putting things on film is the right answer, but it's time to start building some confidence in your young quarterback and your passing attack that you're prepared for that game on November 29th. And this and the Maryland game are an opportunity to do that. So you could win this game just by running the ball, but I would like to see some improvements in the passing game, some, 2 weeks to prepare. Let's see some creative things on offense. Northwestern has an experienced offensive line. That's one of their strengths, featuring Michigan transfer Josh Preeb. Any Michigan fans remember him from the national title team. So you have to be physical against the run, and you have to fit it well at the second level, especially if we're going to be out some of those linebackers, right? If we have young linebackers in there, you have to be physical against the run because like they like to run the ball just like we do, and they have experience, and they're a well put together offensive line, and they are physical, right? And in the same way in the passing game, you can't let Preston Stone be comfortable, right? If he's uncomfortable, you've seen he gets forced into turnovers. If he is comfortable, he's not, he's a player. He can make throws if you give him time. So that's the key there. And then last thing I have is just looking at overall in the Moore era, Moore tenure, games right after a bye week. Okay, you have at Illinois 2024. That was a pathetic loss. Okay, Wisconsin at home this year, pathetic win. It was like 21-7. I don't know. I don't want to talk about it. It was terrible. It was a hard watch. Only exception was Northwestern in 2024 last year. The week leading up to Ohio State, we won 50-6. You could have never gotten me to predict that team would score 50 points with what we had on offense. So the concern there is, you'd like to see the team not come out flat like we have in bye weeks prior, right? You'd like to see that extra preparation fuel these guys. You'd like to see these guys hype for what's to come the rest of the season, right? Goals are still in front of you. And so that's what I want to see, jump on the gas, throw the first punch. That I think is a key. And don't let them hang around.
I think that Michigan here controls the game. Now, when you talk about getting the game to halftime, you're talking about a close game, and I think that's gonna happen at half. But I think if you give Underwood time, I think you'll cover that 11 and a half late into the game. So I am taking Michigan, the probably winning by 13, maybe a 7 point game, 3 point game going into halftime. But I mean that's very common. And then eventually second half, you pick it up, adjust, and you can do that against Northwestern. You have to do that against Northwestern if you're expecting to do anything the rest of the season.
Yeah,
So, and I
this
trust
is
Michigan to they're a solid team for sure.
yeah, they're
So,
sneaky. I put 27-13.
okay,
Yeah, this is also I'll mention the point of the point of the year where eye test is going to matter in terms of the committee, right? You know, a big win over Northwestern might put you above another 10-2 team somewhere else in the country,
sure.
right? You got to look the part at this point in the year. So that's what I'm looking for. Look the part, look like you're worth your ranking because so far I don't think we have.
Yep, it's kind of the same way with when we talk about Oregon. They need to do what they need to do against Minnesota.
Yes.
This is
Yeah,
exactly the same situation with Michigan.
yeah, I agree.
Northwestern, not a disrespectful team at all, and whatsoever, but not what level Michigan is at. So just take care of it. If you
Right.
want people to trust you, especially the committee, then you're gonna have to do what you got to do
Right.
in Wrigley, which is an interesting place to play at for sure.
Hmm.
Now for
Yeah.
7:30 NBC, I'll be at this game against UCLA, Ohio State. I texted you last week how much I hate 30, the spread being at 30. This one's at 32 and a half. Purdue
Oof.
backdoored it last week. Uh, this is 32 and a half. Right now, the weather's not great. The weather's not looking great. Now, that doesn't really mean much for Ohio State because I mean these guys should be used to playing in this weather. And you're talking about Cali boys trying to. I mean, we saw Nico Iamaleava come up from Tennessee last year,
It's true.
and they struggled big time. He's traveling to Columbus for the second time in 10 months. They lost 42-17 that first game at home against Ohio State. Two rushing touchdowns. He's a great rusher. I'm sure he's much better. He's get probably better in the pass game. I mean, he played well against Penn State. That's a very solid defense. He had zero passing yard touchdowns against Ohio State last year, but definitely a nice back and forth between Penn State, which was the kind of the start of the end of James Franklin.
Hmm.
They have solid wide receivers, like just across the board. Like they can make plays. I wouldn't be, not Brandon Innes even, type of gameplay. But if you give them room, then they'll hurt you. But with Nico running that as much as he does, Arvo Reese is been playing a lot of spy. They did that with Arch Manning pretty much the entire game. He'll be doing that. He's projected first rounder now. Kind of came out of nowhere uh,
Hmm.
this year for Ohio State. And they're another team. I mean, all around college football, coaches have been getting fired, and UCLA is one of them. Tim Skipper, their current interim
Yes.
head coach. Uh, so we'll see. I mean, this is not whether or not Ohio State is gonna win or not. When it's 32 and a half. Right now, this is the only Big Ten team where you can't bet Ohio State money line because they're assuming that this is free money. And they
Right.
also look at weather and whether they can adjust. I'm pessimistic when it's 32 and a half. I mean, Ohio State will play slow at the end just to not give them the ball. So I can see them winning by 27. So I'll have Ohio State winning by a ton, but I'll have UCLA covering 32 and a half. But I mean, if Nico can make plays, I mean, who knows?
Yeah. 32.5 is a lot of points. That is a lot. And even if UCLA covers that, it still be a complete blowout. Um, I
Yeah,
I go ahead.
no, go ahead. Get well, because I'm thinking that for UCLA, the best game that they saw was Penn State with James Franklin. So I'm assuming that they're going to do that same game plan. And that was Nico. He led the team. I mean, he's leading
Yeah,
the team in rushing and rush yards and touchdowns. So it was
yeah,
9 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in that 3 game winning streak that they had, and that was including Penn State. So, and that's why you're going to have Arvell Reese just spy the entire time because their recipe to winning was him running around the entire time. which you did against Ohio State a little bit in the playoff.
Yeah. I'll take like OSU by 28. Let's say 35-7. So that's a UCLA cover. Maybe a bit of a fall asleep spot for OSU. Kind of the game that's probably boring for you to watch, but just let's go. Let's get out of here healthy, not
Yeah,
overdo it,
right.
not put too much of our stuff on film, and let's get out. I think that's the type of game it is.
Yeah, ESPN Alex having them at 98% chance to win.
Wow.
I mean, I guess like that. It makes sense. I mean, UCLA is better than how they started, but they still did lose to New Mexico State, right?
Right.
So who you guys, you know, had a all right, I guess all right to start the season uh game. So we'll see. It's going to be an enjoyable weekend, just across college football. Obviously, the game of the week. Hoping that's a one score game. Could go either way. We'll definitely try to watch that if I can. With the game being at 7:30. But it was good. It was a good first episode talking ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so we'll try to be doing this every single week. Obviously, it's called the Step Brothers because Ohio State and Michigan. Uh, we've been talking about this for so long. Like I said in the beginning of the show, you know, I'm shocked our friendship has lasted this long, given our rivalry.
I know. I know. The name inspired by CJ Stroud and Nico Collins on the Texans.
Yes, yes, I
So
gave I
that's where it
gifted
comes from.
Andrew a a Step Brothers shirt that had Nico Collins and CJ Stroud when I was working for the Texans last year and gifted him for his birthday. So that's kind of inspired the name. But yeah, so we're gonna do same time next week.
Next week for sure. Definitely next week.
Yeah, for sure. So go follow Andrew, Andrew.Heiden, right? Is your
Yeah,
Instagram and
sure. You can follow me.
West West Clark one on Instagram, also the West Clark Show, TikTok as well. So, but it was good. This was a good first episode, and we went over a lot longer than we thought we were initially gonna do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's easy to talk ball, man.
It is.
There's a lot
It
to
is.
go over.
It is. But yeah, of course, follow our YouTube page here on the Step Brothers. You can also email us at
Yeah.
stepbrothersball. Let us know your thoughts. We'll create a Twitter account as well. Uh,
Yeah.
so we'll be all over the place. But yeah, go follow us. Go like
Yeah.
us.
If we get
Uh,
questions, we love to answer them. So email, Twitter, we'll put that all out there. I'm sure we'll put that in the description. I'm
yeah.
sure different handles, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, subscribe. We're trying to get this thing going, trying to have fun with it. And yeah, just love talking ball. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, we'll see you guys next week. Yeah. Thank you for listening.